Hello, everyone. My name is Karrin Mayfield, and you are here with Planted LLC for my father's and men walking the walk celebration. As custom, we're going to let this music bounce a little bit. This gives you time to go get your beverage, to get your seat, do whatever you need to do to position yourself because we're about to have a great time. My very special guest, my friend, he's family, Mr. Melvin Stallings is here. So wave at him, say hello. We're gonna get started, but we're gonna let this music ride. Curated by my very own partner in life, Mr. Al. So listen, pop. We're gonna be right here. Wait for you to come back to get your seat ready. Tell your friends. Join us. All right, I think that's enough time. Hello, Mr. Melvin Stallings. I'm going to be a little formal today. I'm not going to act up too much. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Great. It's great to see you.
That is good. It's good to see you too. So for everybody, by now, again, you know why we're here. I'm a daddy's girl. My father, Coach Spencer Mayfield Jr., is who we are celebrating, not just because he's a father, but it was recently his birthday. And to fully celebrate, I want to lean in to the legacy that he started by having a conversation with some menfolk that know him very well and that I grew up with, his players. And we have none other than Melvin Stallings. I'm going to put his handsome picture up here and let you know about him. He's Melvin Stallings Jr., founder and executive director of Cyber Green Group. He played for my dad pretty much, I think, his entire, even though you have 1988 here, I know you played with him like your freshman year. You probably just rode the bench, but after that, you was in there like swimwear. So this gentleman that you see before you is near and dear to my heart. I claim a lot of brothers because that's just how my dad was. Most of his players were at my house. I saw them all the time. But this one right here, he's fam. This is my heart right here. He's a brother from another mother. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
That is good. That is good. So I am going to acquaint everybody with what I already know about you. I'm going to read your bio just to let people know how awesome you are. I already know, but I'm going to share with them. And then we're going to get into some questions. So let me go ahead and get started. Melvin Stallings Jr., as I've already stated, is the founder and executive director of Cyber Green Group, a workforce training nonprofit corporation for teachers and students in the STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics fields. He's located in Bowie, Maryland. So that, first of all, that's one thing we have in common. We are in the STEM space and we want to make sure that students have opportunities. And so he has a whole company dedicated to doing just that. Melvin is also a curriculum development specialist. He's written many math and science curriculum for high schools throughout the United States. And I know this because every time I can't catch up with you, he's out of the country doing a camp somewhere. He's presented several professional development workshops at local and national conferences over the last 10 years. He manages various STEAM initiatives for K through 12 levels in schools and recreation centers that foster excitement in cyber forensic, biomedical engineering, and green science. Obviously, Cyber Green Group, that's where he got it from. Let's see. There's so much information here. Where do I want to go next? Mr. Stallings has been the recipient of numerous trophies and awards, including Teacher of the Year in Baltimore City in 2002 at Winston Middle School, Most Creative Teacher 2004, the Harry Burke Award for Educators of the Year in Alexandria City, Virginia in 2010, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Man of the Year for Psi Nu Chapter 2013 and 2021, and the Educator of the Year at National Collegiate Prep in 2018. Wow. See, I don't just have just anybody here. I have folks that have done some things. Melvin received his Bachelor of Science in Biology from the Norfolk State University and his Master's in Education, Leadership, and Supervision from Notre Dame of Maryland University. He's got over 20 years of experience as an educator in the fields of science and mathematics. He is a board member of the 100 Black Men of Greater Washington, D.C. chapter and a member of the International STEM Committee of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I introduce to you my brother. We call each other cousins, Mr. Melvin Stallings. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's a lot. That's a lot. You've done a tremendous amount of work in the STEM space. I just have to tell you a little bit of history. So we grew up together. We went through high school together. I mean, we saw each other in the hallways. We both went to Norfolk State University, and you're going to see a theme here with some of the guests that I have. We've traveled in some of the same waters. It does my heart good to be able to look at this educated Black man doing his thing, and he didn't just stumble upon it. He had mentors. He was a nerd. He was a cool nerd. He was a nerd. I'm a nerd too. Affectionately called it. It's not a derogatory term. But more importantly, I was able to have a front row seat to see him grow and mature on the basketball court underneath my dad's leadership, and also grow and mature other young men. So y'all are in for a treat. So I've talked a lot about what your bio says, but let's go ahead and get into it. Tell me and our audience about you. Tell me some things that I didn't mention in the bio.
The reason why the nonprofit Cyber Green Group was established was basically your father and all of our mentors over the years helped me create this vision. I had the great mentors. Your father, Coach Little John, Principal Carson, and because I had these great men before me from middle school all the way up through high school and through college, they always talked about how or when you get that opportunity to give back to your community. And working at Baltimore City Police Department as a crime scene investigator, my first job, I saw so many young Black men without fathers being shot, being killed. So I wanted to create something that would help them, because when I get to the crime scene, it's a homicidal shooting. It's too late. So always in the back of my mind, I constantly remember after practice is always a conversation about life, about what you're going to do once you graduate from high school. What's the plan? What's the next step? You got to be a positive citizen in the community. They constantly talked about, it's like we were talking to the same person, but it was three different individuals having the same conversation all the time for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, even when we came home, even when we came back home. So it was tradition. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, we all meet up at the basketball court when coaches having practice. So it's the alumni versus the new school, old school versus new school. Went on for years, just tradition. So that gave me the insight of, I got to do something to help. Because someone mentored me, I have to mentor someone also. So this is how, and the reason why Cyber Green Group came about, based on someone constantly being in my ear saying, you got to be a pillar for someone else.
I'm gonna mute myself. As my guests are talking, all you hear me say is yes, and I don't want to interrupt what their flow is. So I'm just nodding and agreeing. That is not just honorable, it is so needed. So in my promo, I told y'all to go get your nephews, your sons, your neighbors. You still got time. We've got a lot more ground to cover. bring them on in, sit them in front of your device, in front of your computer screen, and let's sit at the feet of someone who's dropping some serious knowledge. So you mentioned some names. So you're going to hear these names. Most of my guests are going to mention these names, with the exception of my uncle, probably. Coach Little John was a beautiful man. He was our godfather. I claimed him in a previous interview, and then I thought about it. He was actually Karita, my older sister's godfather, but I claim it. He was our godfather. I mean, you couldn't get any. Oh my gosh, Uncle Little John was nothing but the truth. You also mentioned Principal Carson, my father's teammate. They grew up together. I called him Uncle PD. He was family to me. And so these men are men that I grew up around, just like you. And so you learned early. You were shown early the model. And of course, along with my dad. So we've got some pictures. Y'all ready to see young Melvin Stallings Jr.? So the running joke when we were growing up is that, I'm just going to put it on the screen so folks can see. So this is a picture, number 11, of Melvin at Nansemond River High School. He sent me this picture not too long ago. And of course, I remember all of the talks, all the times he pulled you over. He affectionately called you sweat glands. So when I show this picture to my sisters, and he and I know this, so you get to tell your side of the story. This picture, my father has a picture of him in uniform at Elizabeth City State University that looks exactly like Melvin. So for a minute, we were like, hold on. They're athletic pictures. They could be twins. He's not my brother, but I love this picture because it reminds me of Dad when he was younger. And when he saw you, that's what he saw also. So tell us what was going on when Dad was whispering in your ear in this picture.
This is going back over 30 years, just with they're shooting free throws. Coach Mayfield is talking to me in reference to what's the next play, what we need to do, transition in reference to, the game. I think it's almost like maybe third or fourth quarter. Game is close. So he's basically telling me what we're doing the next two steps. If A happen, you do this. If B happen, you do this. This is how he coached. He always was in the moment of what's the A plan, what's the B plan. And that's how he taught in reference to life. What's your A plan? If A plan don't work, what's the B plan? That's exactly what the conversation we had. So, and basically my name with him was called Junior. Junior. This is what we're doing.
Yep, that was your name.
So
he never called you
like,
Melvin.
Junior, come talk to me. Let's talk about this. So that's the conversation right there.
No, that is so good. That is so good. And of course, I'm just the memories of us in high school and just are just flooding back and being in class. It's an honor, even though I know you and I grew up with you. It's an honor to sit across the keyboard to see real time the man that you have become, the leader that you've become. I mean, I read all the great stuff, but I got to see the maturation process, at least from high school and college. We were both at Norfolk State together. So it is overwhelming. I'm trying not to get emotional. It's hard not to see two individuals that I care so much about, and you're just modeling what I know Dad put in you. So real quick, tell us what position did you play?
I played point guard.
Yes.
So I was basically responsible for setting up the plays, making sure everybody's in the position to get a basket, play defense. So also I was one of the captains on the team. So lots of responsibilities in reference to, because the offense came through me as a point guard. So that's why you see Coach right here talking to me, because he basically telling me, what's next.
A great position. So I know a lot about basketball only because I had a front row seat. You though, I was in the home, but you had a different seat and position as one of Dad's players. Now you've talked about your desire and your passion based on what you saw as a crime scene investigator in Baltimore, but break down what dad taught you, and how did being part of a team help you grow and mature?
I think the one thing that he really taught us was there's the definition of there's no I and T. And on the basketball court is five players, but you also need the bench support because there's always someone backing you up coming off the bench. You got to give that person the same support when they're in the game, just like when you're in the game. So the concept of we win, it's like everybody win. The coaches win, the school win, the players win, the community win. So he embedded that in us, and I think the one thing that really pushed it for me was Coach Littlejohn was my football coach. So Coach Littlejohn coached football and basketball. So basically, I was a part of this network from August to March for 3 years, and it constantly there. And sometimes it would be more because we played summer league. So just being around, and the thing, as we get older now, and I'm constantly hearing, make sure you center yourself around good people, like-minded people. And I'm thinking back, Coach Littlejohn, Coach Mayfield, Principal Carson, they all were always together. And they always would bring people who looked like them, who had the same respect for life and how they carried themselves in the community. That's who they brought into practice to actually talk to us. So again, seeing this for multiple years, it just built that, when you have a father at home, such as myself, and my father is over here talking about the same conversation they're talking about on the basketball court. So it's like, my father says this all the time. Coach Mayfield is saying this. Coach Littlejohn is saying this. And then on top of all of this, Mr. Carson is the principal. It all repeats itself. So I think, again, for our young people, you got to center yourself around good people. You got to pick and choose your friends carefully and make sure they have the same interests as you. If they don't have the same interest, make sure they're on the same wavelength as you, that you're all trying to get to a common goal, and that's to be successful.
That is so, so good. I'm writing as I always do because my guests are wise and accomplished and they educate me. So, one of the things that I forgot is that you play football too. I forgot about that. So, you were definitely a well rounded and successful athlete. So, I said this in a previous recording and I'll say it again. For those of you out there that are not athletes or are not athletically inclined, please don't turn us off. Team sport is just that, a team sport. It could be whatever group you are in, whatever activity you're doing. What Mr. Stallings, I'm gonna be formal here. What he just said still applies. It absolutely applies. One of the things that you touched on that I really I hammer it home is to pick and choose wisely who you are around. I want to pull the thread on that just a little bit more. We are in an age where friend groups change. We have different criteria for our friend groups, whether it's where you live, whether it's what you wear, and let's just be clear. Everyone wants to belong, right? Everyone wants to be respected, to be seen, to be heard, and have a sense of belonging. There's probably somebody out there that probably feels like they don't belong anywhere. They may feel as though they're not cool enough, or that they're maybe not talented enough, or just don't have the confidence to associate or assert themselves based on all that you learned from the men that you named, from the cadre of men that you named, as well as your experience professionally. What would you say to them right now?
How What would I say to them? Life is about ups and downs. And everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs a mentor. It doesn't matter how old you are. I'm right now graduated from high school over 30 years ago, graduated from college over 30 years ago, and I still have mentors. So there's always someone that you can reach out to and just share your story, how you feel at the time, and they can give you a different viewpoint of how you can navigate through that situation. So for everybody on this call who's listening, and you're a young man who's in transition from middle school to high school, or from high school to college, find a mentor, find a coach, find a church member, find a positive brother in the neighborhood that can be that mentor to help you along the way. Because the one thing that Coach Mayfield did for me was he sat me down and said, Melvin, look at your football skills. Look at your basketball skills. So I got a full ride football scholarship to Norfolk State to play football. What he told me was, Melvin, if you don't get to the next level, you must obtain that degree. I'm going to say it again. So for all my athletes out here, they get full ride to school or in school, you're playing a sport, you must obtain that degree. My junior year in college, I tore my Achilles. I called coach. He said, do you remember what I told you? I said, I remember like it was yesterday. What is plan B? So if we don't get a chance to play football again, what is plan B? Plan B is to go off to college, finish college, get a degree, become a forensic scientist. So I put that in place my freshman year. I became a forensic scientist because I had that support system around me. So if you don't have a support system around you now, we can create a support system around you now. Because one of the proverbs that Coach always talked about, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. So it's your coach, it's your principal, it's your community. It's helping raise you, take to the next level. So again, this speaks volume, but that's the whole reason of creating Cyber Green Group, is to go out in the communities all over the U.S. and internationally to help as many kids, teenagers, and adults to get to the next level. Because a lot of people helped me get to the next level. As I'm speaking on this call, as a support system at Norfolk State, I had Karrin helping me with chemistry because she could do chemistry with her eyes closed. I'm biology. So again, it's a support system. It's a support system. So this is why you gotta be able to network, have a conversation with people. I can talk to a stranger, doesn't matter, because I'm always thinking about who can I help? Who can I help get to the next level? Because it's not about me. Because when that person gets to the next level, I'm happy. Because that's what it's about.
Ooh, that's so good. You brought me to those days when we were trying to barter. It's just like, okay, I'm good in this subject. You got to help me with this one. You dropped some really good wisdom that I'm not going to insult the intelligence of anybody that's listening. You all know, you all have friend groups. You, even at any age, you know who vibes for you, rides for you, and you know who doesn't. What Mr. Stallings just said was understanding what the plan is and having one. It doesn't mean that the plan won't change. It doesn't mean that the plan is bulletproof and foolproof. It just means that you have an idea and you need to give yourself room to be flexible when things change. I remember junior year like it was yesterday. I remember when you tore your Achilles. I mean, that was a hit. That was a hit. And you took you braced for the hit, but you didn't skip a beat. You were already in the mindset of academics is important. And so if you're out there and you may not like school or you may not be on a team sport, trust and believe we need you in everything that you have. And having a mentor will help you figure it out, which I love what you said is having a support system and building those relationships, not just so that you can get something out of it, but there are men and women out there who are willing to impart their knowledge. You're sitting across the keyboard, you're looking at whatever device you're on at a perfect example. And we're going to put Mr. Stallings' information up at the end. So I need you to stay tuned. You've already heard his accolades. And if you are just joining us and you missed it, don't you worry. This is going to be able to live in perpetuity on my platform, Feet Planted LLC. You'll be able to run it back and get all of the information. What's important though is that it was a process. I mentioned this in another conversation. You've had ups and downs. Life throws you curveballs, and sometimes our best laid plans don't work. But you have to start somewhere, and I believe 100% that that's the message. We're going to transition real quick into fatherhood. So I want to celebrate fathers. I want to celebrate obviously my father. You mentioned again several men that were instrumental in both of our lives growing up. But based off of your experience, you have great parents. I mean, I know your parents, wonderful people. My father loved your family as well. So I know you were raised well, right? Um, what does fatherhood mean to you, and why do you think fathers are important?
Fatherhood for me means that you have a voice that will listen to you, will give you positive advice. Positive advice, even though you're wrong. A voice that you can constantly hear when that person is not there. Someone who actually cares for you. Someone who actually tells you they love you. And it's a-okay to be wrong. Because if you're perfect, there's no such thing as a perfect person. Because you make a mistake, this is how you get better. Junior, you run the play wrong, coach. Junior, let's get it right. So the battle of always getting things wrong and thinking it's an issue, it's not that. It's about having someone there for you, even when you're not there for yourself. When you don't think you can get a scholarship, when you don't think you can get through college, and they just give you a call of like, come by and see me. And it's almost like they know your vibe, they know what you're going through without even having a conversation. So my father is quiet, always observing. Having an issue, he'll say 2 or 3 words. Pop up at the school. How you doing? Just want to check on you, make sure you're okay. Because it seemed like you wasn't doing well. That's what fatherhood is to me. A person who's constantly there, who's consistent in your life. But even if they're not consistent, they're still your father. So again, there are so many characteristics that represent fathers and fatherhood that I could go on for days. But I've been blessed to have a father in my house and so many other stepfathers. I call them stepfathers because everybody specializes in something. So when I needed something, I could reach out to all those stepfathers. And it didn't cost me anything. They didn't ask for anything. So that's what fatherhood is, someone who's there, who will listen, who will help you get to the next level, if they don't have the resources, they'll connect you to that person. So that's what fatherhood is. Fatherhood and a mentor, they go together. They go together. I have been blessed with some great mentors, and each mentor were great fathers. They are. I mean, I've watched these men over the years. Coach Principal Carson, Cherie Carson, she grew up with us. So again, we saw this. We saw our fathers interact with people and talked about all those things: how you dress, how you stand, how you talk, how you conduct yourself at all times in this community. That's so important as a father. The father got to be able to have that voice to say, "Look, son, daughter, this is how you got to lead by example." That's what a good father is. He lead by example. He wants the best for his family at all times. At the same time, there's a chance or where we all got to sacrifice something for the family. For the family. I remember now. So this is gonna take me back. I remember at basketball practice in high school. Principal Carson was the commissioner of the CIAA basketball. Coach Mayfield was officiating girls basketball. And we was like, y'all love basketball that much? They would say yes. And it's funny, 15 years passed, I graduated from college. I call Coach Mayfield. I call Principal Carson. I said, just what I'm doing. I'm refereeing basketball. So again, you lead by example. They never told me I needed to referee basketball, but that was my way. So I asked them why were they doing refereeing. They was like to stay in shape, and it's extra money. So when the car something happened at the house, so this is the lesson they was teaching. You have the extra money, so you can just pull from this, and everything is still to go. But when you don't have that extra, you got to pull from somewhere else. So the lesson to this is always create several streams of income.
You're dropping some serious knowledge. So everybody knows I take notes. I'm already ready to flip over to the next side of the page. So I just have to back up because you said so many great things. First and foremost, you and I both know that not every child has a father in the home. And it is important that we as a community reach out and make sure that children without those role models have access not only to us but to resources so that they know that they're cared for. It takes nothing to tell a child that you're going to be okay. And it's even more important when you can look them in the eyeball and tell them and be consistent. So I love that word. Consistency does not mean perfection. It means a presence that is reliable, that's there. And that can come from someone in the home and out the home. As you already know, dad grew up, rough, right? And so he wanted to extend himself beyond our household to anyone and everyone who needed it. And I'll be honest with you, as a child, I was just like, wait a minute, who are these people?
Right.
So I didn't appreciate that until I got to be older. But everything that you said was so important, and that's part of the reason why Feet Planted LLC came to be. So I'm going to go down a little rabbit hole, and then I'm going to come back to what you said about leading by example. So you've all heard me talk about women and girls in STEM and my mother. Well, clearly I have a father, and both of my parents were involved in the community and were community leaders, and so I learned a lot from them. The one thing that resonates so much with me that Melvin said is extending beyond yourself and showing love and just really flat out showing up. I know that in this day and time, we're zipping, we're running to work, we're doing all sorts of things, and it's challenging for us to really take the time to be present, which is why I love what you do. You are an extension of someone's home life where they get to learn and have fun and be creative and also learn about what it's like to pursue education or pursue athletics or quite frankly pursue STEM because you're giving an extension of yourself. That is exactly why I started Feet Planted LLC. That's exactly why you started Cyber Green Group Incorporated. And I'm honored to be to know you, but I'm even more. It's very overwhelming to understand that the men and women that have poured into us, that this is the fruit, right? You know, my father is no longer here, but he lives on in me, my sisters. He lives on in you. He lives on in so many other people because they weren't perfect, but these men led by example. And I want to latch on to the comment that you just made regarding being an official, because a lot of people didn't realize that dad officiated games. And I'll be honest with you, I was just like, you just don't want, like, what is it? You just got to be doing something. But it wasn't until you started talking about extra income. My dad was providing for his family. He wanted to make sure that he was in shape and that he surrounded himself in the environment of his gifting. So I'm going to ask you a question that's not on your list because you talked about characteristics. I want you just to think back in your gifting, because you are gifted in a lot of different things that describe you. Give me two characteristics that describe you as a man and how you've been able to pay that forward in your professional and personal and community life.
I'm a visionary and I'm charismatic. I care about people. So having a vision to see the direction in which you want to go, and then the thought process that everybody don't have the same resources. So we got to care for everybody because we don't know everybody's situation. But me being a blessing to somebody else, that's what it's really about. Because the goal is to create legacy. When I leave this earth, I don't care about the materialistic things. I want people to say, Melvin cared about others. He was impactful to the community. That's what I care about.
So you mean it's not the paycheck, it's not the house, it's not the car, it's not doing it for the gram. It's not about that.
Nah, you know,
I know it's not, but that's what we're up against a
yeah,
lot of
that's what
time.
you're right.
We're competing with that. And when I say we, a lot of the initiatives that I'm trying to work on with Feet Planted LLC is it's a challenge to command the attention of our young people and our youth and our young people. And I'm gonna focus here on the men folk. Um, what advice would you give to kids who are saying, I hear you, Mr. Stallings, I hear what you're saying, but I need to make money, or um I'm not interested in investing or going to school. I need to do other things. What advice can you give to help center and maybe just drop some pearls of wisdom on our generation?
Most of our young men play video games. 75% of them. So instead of playing that video game, Learn the skill set of coding so you can build your own video game. If you say you want money, you say you want to get to the next level, skill set. Because if you learn how to code, you learn how to code in Python. If you learn that skill set right now, because the next 3 years, your jobs, your opportunities is going out the window because it's something called AI and machine learning. So the skill set. So if you want to get to the next level, you don't want to go to college, learn how to code. Go take some code classes. There are a lot of free classes online. I can give you information. I can actually teach you code, how to process, how to fly drones. All of these things are huge. So for all of my parents on the call, it doesn't matter how young your child is. Because right now I'm starting fourth graders how to code. So by the time they get to high school, they're already there. So
Wow, that's
again,
awesome.
it's about a skill set. So creating websites, all these things goes along with coding. You don't know how to code, you need to learn how to code. So one skill I would say that's necessary in the next 3 to 5 years, because 2 years from now, it's too
It'll be
late.
something else. That's right. That's right. We have to start. We have to start now. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, coding, all great skill sets that at first bluff sound, real super technical and hard. But let me tell you something. Looking at the green button message, if you're interested if you have an affinity for graphics and games, those skills to include coding can be transferable to AI and machine learning and any technology. And what I love about what Mr. Stallings said is that you are in the driver's seat. A lot of the times we think that we have to um, fit into a certain box. And sometimes we compare ourselves, and sometimes we don't have the same economic access that others do. But I'm here to tell you the only person, place, or thing that can limit you is you. And what I'm hearing is that the opportunities are not just endless, but they're possible to include Cyber Green Group Incorporated. So, again, if you're out there and you're just joining us, hi, my name is Karrin Mayfield Felton. I'm the owner of Planted LLC, and you have stumbled into Fathers and Men Walking the Walk. I'm sitting across from Melvin Stallings, who is the founder of Cyber Green Group Incorporated, and we're talking about building skill sets and characteristics that are going to be necessary for you to not just become educated, but for you to be innovative. One of the things, so we're about to get into some geeky questions because you just stirred up the STEM part of me. I'm trying to get off philosophical, but we're going to take a slight detour, and I know that you're up for it because we're in the same space. One of the things that I absolutely love. So over time, we graduated from Norfolk State University. You went off to school, I went off to grad school. We had our own lives. And when I found out that you were in the STEM space and I was in the STEM space, it was magic, because what you've been able to accomplish, not just in your professional career, but with Cyber Green Group, as well as connecting with other organizations, is that you're providing access to young children, I believe, from elementary to middle to high school as well, and college, to give them access and opportunity. You literally roll up your sleeves and are able to deliver STEM materials, kits, and actually go through the motions to enlighten our youth. And I'm going to be specific: our students of color, our BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color community that are often not tapped in, not connected to said resources, right? And so the work that you do is tremendous, and I can't let us go another second without giving you some kudos. So to tie this all into fatherhood, I have on my note paper men, leaders of the community, role models. You don't get to where you are without having some trials and tribulations. I know I personally struggled in graduate school. That's actually my story. That's one of the reasons I started Planted LLC, is because I knew my struggles and I didn't give up. And I've been able to have mentors. I know your story is the same, because we talk. The message here is that in all of your getting, in all of the things that you aspire to be, make sure that you don't leave here leaving your gifts and talents on the table. Spend it all. The tapped talent, the untapped talent. That is the message for today, because young people, especially my young men out there, we need you. We understand that society and some of the systems that are in place are set up to come against you. But look at Mr. Stallings. Look at some of the other guests that have been on my platform. They have overcome and been successful in spite of. And if he can do it, I know you can do it too. I didn't mean to get all, get all preachy, but it is ingrained in me, as you can hear from my parents and from my father. And so regardless of your home circumstances, I'm here to tell you, I am presenting to you resources that you can touch and reach out to. And this brings me um to my final question, but not your final response. In addition to the men that you and I both grew up with, talk to us about who your role models are now, as you have been in a lot of different spaces and places since we left college. Who are your role models? Who you look up to?
I still have the same role models. I still have the same role model. Starting off with my father. My father is a hardworking person for years. He worked at a Newport News shipyard for over 40 years, the same job. Something that we would not do. We would not work at the same job for more than 10 to 15 years. So that just shows you how time changes. But again, you know, looking at those mentors I had as a young teenager to now, I have mentors now in reference to the workplace. I have friends that are coaches. Um, and then if I need something, I can make a phone call in reference to getting some mentor, in reference to starting a business, mentor, in reference to learning about something new, learning about coding. I had a mentor, someone who kind of coached me with mentors. So even if you're on this call and you never know nothing about coding, this is where a person like me come in and guide you step by step to teach you how to code. It's something different. It's a different language. So it's not going to be easy the first time, but once you get it, you A-okay. So this is why my goal is to help kids in elementary school all the way through collegiate, to get them so they can learn how to code at an early age. So I have the same mentors over the years. Um, and the crazy part to this is, guys, your mentor do not have to be a male. It could be a female. Because what's funny about this is, when I was having problems on Norfolk State campus and couldn't figure it out, I had the best mentor. I just walked to the admin building. Dr. Mayfield was there, sat me down in her office. We had lunch twice a month. Karrin was there. And she basically asked us, how was your day? What do you want to talk about? So open. But that gave me the vision to wake up the next day, to be positive, and go into those classrooms and do what I need to do was to obtain that degree. So what I would say to everybody on this call is when you connect with the coach, you connect into the family. Me and Karrin became best of friends because of Coach Mayfield. Because I had a relationship with Coach Mayfield, I had Dr. Mayfield, his wife, at Norfolk State. We didn't have a car, so we couldn't drive to Suffolk. So we needed a resource person. We needed a mentor on campus. So again, just having that strong support system. I was blessed. We was blessed to have a strong support system. Karrin could call my house right now and speak to my mother and father. They would treat her just like their daughter. That's what community is. It takes a village to raise a child, and we had one of the best village that a child, a person could ever imagine, because it was everybody. If I was wrong, Coach Mayfield would say I'm wrong. My father would say I'm wrong. Dr. Mayfield would say I'm wrong. Everybody was saying the same thing. So that's your village. So create that village. Get outside your family members. Find that mentor. Find that coach. Find that teacher. Someone that have the same interests as you, or is going to help you get to the next level. That's what's key. Because you need to always have someone that you can call and talk to, and have a situation where it's just a phone call away. You good? I just want to hear your voice. I'm good. Sometimes that's all you need. So again, it's about the support system. It's about connecting. You know how when people say you got extended family members? This is what I'm talking about. If no one didn't know, everybody thought me and Karrin was actually cousins for real, because that's how
Yeah.
we created for all these years.
Absolutely. And then Mr. B, I want to add that we didn't lose touch, but just because of life, we hadn't talked, and I want to say 15 years.
Right.
Just because of school and work and our careers, pick up that phone like it's nothing. Like that's how relationships are rooted. And so we want the same for you all. Talking to the green button again. There's so many people. I mean, we were talking this week, and we've been talking for the last several years, but recently we went down the roll call of all of our classmates that are turning 50. I'm very proud to be 50. I'm very thankful to be 50 years old, that are turning 50 this year. And when I think of all of them, knowing them from, I mean, elementary school, shucks, nursery school, knowing their parents, and being in a community where somebody could say, "Okay, Karrin, what are you doing?" Or because let's just be clear, I didn't. I tell people all the time, I am not. I didn't just wake up like this, right? This was a process. It took a village to help me to get here. And I'll be honest with you, I was obstinate. I wanted to do it my way. I thought I knew everything, and there were moments where I had to hit rock bottom. I had to accept the fact that no, you don't know everything, and then reach out to that community. So the wisdom that Mr. Stallings is sharing, and that I am high fiving, it's not easy to do, but let me tell you, it is worth its weight in gold. We know that the times are different, but let me tell you something. It's going to pay dividends. There is nothing that his family won't do for me, and vice versa. Siblings. I mean, we grew up in a different time, and I know that now those associations are distant. But if you don't get anything, so this is actually a question. If people don't get anything from this talk, if there's just one thing that you want to leave them with out of everything, all the wisdom that you've shared, what would it be?
One thing,
Or two?
also the one thing I would say out of this conversation get is get your mentor. Get your mentor. That's that's so important. It doesn't matter again how old you are, where you at in life. You could be at a Fortune 500 company. Everybody, no one got to the top by themselves. Again, we're going back to team. There's no I in team. There's no I in team. And it's like as we continue to talk, it just brings back so many memories because as I go off to college, Coach Mayfield, Coach Lil John, and Principal Carson are all men of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. So when I get to college, that's all I know. That's all I knew. I just knew there was only one fraternity. So when I go to college, I had no choice but to become a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Again, because of mentoring and understanding who they were, how they reacted to certain things, and as I got to college in physics class, it was just Newton law. For every action, there's a reaction. Coach Mayfield was constantly talking about Newton law, and I'm like, wow, this is 6 years later. So again, your mentor, mentor, mentor. This everybody need a mentor. There's no one is perfect.
That's right.
So father might not be perfect. The mother may not be perfect. This is why they are called mentors. Someone to coach them along the way. I'm using all the key terms. This is who Coach Mayfield was. He was a coach, he was a mentor, he was a father. He was a caretaker. He was giving us all these little stories along the way and didn't realize what he was doing until I got older. You know, we talked about basketball. Why did he put the towel on his shoulder? We talked about Coach John Thompson, but he was a Carolina fan. He loved North Carolina Tar Heels, but didn't realize Coach Thompson and Dean Smith was the best of friends. So basically, he gave us the best of both worlds. He had his towel on his shoulder every game. Coach Thompson. He ran the offense from North Carolina. Again, he was that coach. He was that mentor. He was that father to us when mom and dad wasn't there. That's who he was. And he was consistent. He was not changing. The same way he coached in the basketball, the same way he ran his classroom. It was not a game. It was not a game. And that's why I love Coach Mayfield so much, because it wasn't no gray. It was black or white. This is who I am. And I wish life was like that.
Oh yeah,
because we go through so much gray and we just gotta figure it out. So this is why a mentor is important.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
You brought back so many memories.
oh man, this is
because it's like it's crazy because you know when he taking us home from practice, you know he gonna give us a story.
My father has the gift of gab, and it's funny because I do too, and I try to pull it back. And my husband is just like, "You can talk." I'm like, "Yeah, I come from the grand poobah of talking."
Right.
And what you're experiencing is fellowship, but with with a purpose. It has a lot of things have transpired in the world. You know, we've seen just a full frontal assault on our Black men. We've seen leaders come and go, and I had the awesome opportunity to have a parent who was a parent to so many others, to include myself and my sisters, and I hope that you've enjoyed just getting a peek at what it was like to be a player, for my dad to be a mentee. There's so many there's so many things that we could say, but one thing that I'm going to say, even though I am biased, is that the man that you see in front of you is is real, 100% real. And I love what you said about my dad. There are a lot of things that you can say about him. He was hard. And in some circles you either liked him or you didn't. But what I want to elevate and highlight is that he left an impression, a positive one, on so many young men, yourself included, that I could not let June go by without acknowledging the work that he did, because my father grew up in a time where they weren't handing out scholarships. Like, if you went to school at all back in his day, I mean, that's a major accomplishment. And for him to do that, have a family and be able to impart the wisdom and have some fun and be able to be the man that he is in my life, I consider it an awesome blessing. And now, folks, I have brothers all over the place. I mean, I could go to Suffolk right now and I can't go anywhere and throw a stick at somebody that didn't play for dad, that wasn't in his classroom. That community has carried me all 50 years of my life, and Lord willing, it'll carry me further. And so I just want to say thank you. I so humbly appreciate you, because not only are we friends, we're family, and I know dad is proud. I know your family is proud. You are a trailblazer. And before I forget, I've got to put your information up, because as you've already mentioned, your one thing that you want to leave with people is to have a mentor. So folks, get your pencils ready. If you don't know about LinkedIn, or if you've never used LinkedIn, I need you to Google it, figure it out. Melvin Stallings. He's actually a junior. On LinkedIn, though, it's Melvin Stallings. Find him. Reach out to him if you are in need of STEM and STEAM resources, if you are in need of mentorship, if you want him to come speak to your young people. More importantly, if you want to partner. That's one of the things that when I found out that you were in the STEM space, oh my gosh, I love the fact that we can just call each other and talk about what's happening real time in both of our careers with STEM and support each other. So this is a community that has a lot of arms and legs, and I need you to reach out to this brother. I'm gonna leave it up a little bit more so that you have time to go find him and reach out to him. He will take your calls. No foolery. We don't do foolery here. Reach out to him for serious inquiries only. So, as custom, I'm gonna do a couple things. Try not to embarrass you. I'm gonna throw this picture up again. Why? Because I love it. I absolutely love this picture. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time out of your schedule to impart, to share, to celebrate a man that we know and love, my dad. And we're going to leave this picture up as we play the music. If I can turn it on, I always have fun with my music. But more importantly, I want to leave you with this picture of young Melvin being schooled by Coach Mayfield at Nansemond River High School. I also want to put this handsome picture up of my fam, Melvin Stallings Jr., the founder and executive director of Cyber Green Group. He is on LinkedIn. I've already put that information up. Thank you so much. I love you. I love your family, and you're going to bless somebody. I can't wait to hear how this is going to help somebody get over the hump. It's been an absolute pleasure. Join us again as we talk to some more men. I call them the Fab Five, and they're going to drop some more wisdom. Until we talk again, folks, have a blessed day.
Thank you.